What's up, fools? So I just quickly made 5 more of these because I've been so busy trying to like do everything in one go. I got custom orders for the stainless steel kitchen knives, and when I'm doing custom orders, I'm not filling up the inventory. And then, of course, when I'm filling up the inventory, I'm not doing the custom orders. So luckily the custom orders, and it kind of works. I still have a system going on, and here's just some of these. Now this is the carbon black scalpels. These are awesome. This was actually the most ordered version of the scalpel, and but I ran out of the carbon black, and then all the suppliers, nobody could supply it for months. So we just got some more in, and now we got some of these black scalpels, and yeah, that's the update for the day. I got 5 of these, and I'm gonna make a whole bunch more because I need to spend the next like few days just taking a break from all the custom orders and just getting as many of these done as I can. They're relatively straightforward to produce, but compared to like the knives that I forge from, you know, the spring steel that I get from the scrap yard and stuff like that, you know, those rivet lock bucos, the only real true expense is the propane for the gas and then the kydex sheaths. The steel, I mean, I got so much of it for unbelievably low price. Like you know, if you go and get from a retailer and you go and get yourself you know, just a regular bar of steel that's like this long and high quality steel, you're paying like 9, 10, 15, 20 euros for it. Don't even get me started on like specialized, you know, stainless steels and stuff like that. But for 20 bucks, the same price, you can get kilos of spring steel. So the rivet lock bucos, I can actually charge lower because they basically cost like 1 or 2 euros or something each to make. Whereas this is from a large sheet of 2mm thick ADC RV2, which was already pretty expensive, and they were all plasma cut, which was like 3 or 4 euros each. And then they were all sent for heat treat in Turku, which is another 3 or 4 euros each. So these are like 6, 7, 8 euros each to produce, which is very expensive if you think each knife costs that much. I don't know, for example, what like large companies like Cold Steel, like how much one of their, you know, how much it costs for them to produce one, I don't know, like a Bowie knife or something like that, but it's probably close to that. I don't know, like I don't know how they, because they buy a much larger bulk, but this is just I can't go anywhere with my own. This is the only real green one that was made because I can't find any green of this material. So this is, you know, the under layer. And then I have here, you know, coyote brown. I got the police blue. I got this purple, the goth. It's freaking, I love the purple one. And this is the black one. The black one is actually much thicker and has significantly more glue inside than the others. And then here's the office gray, which I'm surprised not more people actually buy. I like the gray color. It's kind of like this 1990s, you know, computer company kind of office gray, which is, I don't know, it's kind of has a nostalgic vibe. There is also the see-through one, but no one's actually ordered this. Maybe like 1 or 2 people. And so what I do with these is I just completely polish the entire tang so it's shiny underneath, and then I stick this on. But these are actually really difficult to get right. And then for fun, there was this like multicolored one, this kind of clown color, which also isn't very popular. The most popular one is the black. And people will buy like black undercolor with, here are some of the colors that we got. Carbon blue, orange. So orange and black goes super well together. It's very like Fiskars. Then there's this yellow. I don't actually think I have this one available. The purple goes pretty well with the pink or this like blueberry purple thing. They go well together. There's a whole bunch of color combinations you can do. You know, even that's pretty nice. Even black and gray. I have some more other options, but the thing is, it's really difficult to actually keep all the different types of Kydex colors available. You can actually see. Now, one thing that kind of sucks, and I don't know how to get around it. I have one solution, which will happen after I'm done with making all the scalpels that I have available to produce. So, you see this is carbon black with the black, all right? So they usually don't fit. They're not interchangeable. So even though, isn't that cool? Orange and black. I can't really see it on the camera, but one thing that's yeah, that kind of sucks. There's a little bit of a there. One thing, yeah, that sucks about these designs is that I can't interchange the sheaths, right? So here's another scalpels. Here's another scalpel. They're not interchangeable, really. Well, I mean, okay, sometimes like there's like a 20-30% where they can sort of mix and match, but because they're all handmade one by one, you're not gonna get the type of fit that you're gonna get from the sheath that it was actually made in. I don't know. I've tried so hard to make it so that they're all identical. I don't get it how this is the case. Why they're all, you know, the thing is, like, this is one thing about engineering, and this is one thing about production and stuff like that that is just astounding to me that I've learned over many years. I mean, I went to mechanical engineering university. I didn't graduate though. I kind of partied too hard on year one, and then year two I had to catch up with everything and from year one, and then everything on year two, and then as year three caught up, there was just too much for me. And I don't know, I'd like to get an engineering degree, but it's just the amount of work you gotta do is insane. And I don't mind hard work with my hands. But hard work, like, you know, some of those exams were like 3 or 4 hours long, and I just remember I was sitting there in super intense brain mode and just like doing all this stuff, and I'm thinking to myself, man, I got this exam, I got it. And then you get the replies back, and the teacher's like, oh, you didn't write the equations in the way that I like. You know, it's like, well, I got the right answer. Oh, it doesn't matter if you got the right answer. You have to do it in like in a specific way. So, but anyway, what I was leading with all that is like tolerance stacking is a real freaking problem. Like, you know, there is a difference between 1/100th of a millimeter and 1/10th of a millimeter. You know, there's a difference between 1/100th of a millimeter and 1/10th of a 100th of a millimeter. That's it. You know, that you can't avoid that. In reality, that's the way things are. Some things, you know, just the fractionist of the smallest of the dimensions is still a difference between another one that is almost exactly the same, and that's just the way things work, and that affects the entire engineering world. I mean, we're just lucky to be in a position where we have like standard units of measurement, and we can all appreciate that. Hey, this pan lid from this wok pan actually fits perfectly on top of my frying pan, so I can basically use the same lid for all of these. But in reality, there is actually a really small dimensional difference, and they don't really fit completely perfectly. But because it's a frying pan and a wok, nobody cares that it's like, you know, space age, you know, aerospace dimensions, and it has to be like this perfectly tight fit. But still, when it comes to work like what I'm doing, it's really almost impossible to create those identical and perfect, consistent dimensions like they do in the industry. And also, you know, I could use jigs. You know, I could stick each scalpel in some kind of vise thing and then just move it so that it's all perfect. But I freehand stuff because it's, you know, the thing is, if I start using too many jigs and I start using too many of these kind of things, then it just doesn't feel like handmade anymore. It just feels like, why don't I just work at the local factory? You know, like I like to keep things a little bit raw. I like to keep things a little bit OG. And the thing is, like, every time I make one of these, I get better at freehand grinding. You know. So I mean, I'm not shitting on those. I'm not shitting on those on people who use jigs to mass produce grinds and stuff. But it's just it's just I just like freehanding, and I like to keep it a little bit raw, and those small little mistakes, or not necessarily mistakes, but those small variations is just part of doing things by hand, And the thing is, all of those variations, when you're making these, because everything is slightly different, you can actually kind of hone in on what's perfect and what works better and what doesn't. Because if you do everything exactly the same, then you're just stuck with one thing. You'll never really see small differences that could actually be beneficial later on down the line when you're designing something else. But yeah, I mean, these are like, I don't remember the exact weight, but they're like around 20, 25 grams each. It's like around 30 grams for the whole package. These are full tang steel underneath. Here's one. This is what they look like, basically. And I thought about drilling some holes to do scales, but the problem is, like, this is so narrow that if I drill even a tiny little hole there, you lose a lot of strength from that middle. And I kind of like just to keep, not to make, I just kind of like to keep it full steel like this. But maybe in the future I'll try one where I get also Scales plasma cut, and we can play around with like some kind of, I don't know what. This one was fucked. I overground it here, so it's not. I just use it for cutting other things. But that's basically what it is. And somebody wanted a full steel version like this, just available on the source. I thought maybe I should just put a full steel one. Why not, like, somewhere? But I don't know. You guys tell me if you want to see just a regular full steel one. I like this. In Finland, it's kind of full steel knives in Finland. They're great. Like, okay, so the thing in Finland is the temperature variations from the winter to the summer are so great that full steel in the winter with bare hands, you can, it's not the best. Like, it can get, if your hands are wet and you grab that full steel blade, and you're outside and it's minus 25 Celsius or something, really freaking cold. I remember once in the military there was this like 15 km/h wind on the top of a mountain and minus 30. It felt like minus 40 something degrees. It was the most horrible freaking weather I've ever gone through in Finland. It was excruciating for a whole week. Live fire exercises, and we were shaking the whole time. It was hell. They say that somebody says that the core of hell is actually frozen, and I wouldn't be surprised. I'd much rather, yeah, especially when you're in that freezing cold. All you think about is, going on a beach in somewhere in the Mediterranean or Cuba or something. But yeah, super simple blades. Look, again, most of the time you don't really need anything much more complicated than this, And the idea with this, of course, is generally when you have a knife that has a really short blade like this, often what you're left with is a very small handle, right? So this is one of the pocket forgets. And it's just a basic, folding knife that I make. And I love these. They're great. But it's not like they're more like, what's it called? A gimmick, really. Or they are super useful. There's a great... I can hear a mouse crawling around in the background. But yeah, these are great. Single bevel. It's just, nothing super complicated if you need to just cut something somewhere. And, British laws and different laws in different countries in the world, you can't have like a locking mechanism. You can't have a knife over a certain size. So my British customers love these. They're great. They really like these. And it's also ADCRV too. I think it's like 63, 64 Rockwell hardness. They're very, very, very hard. The mouse is really loud. My chickens are better at getting rid of the mice problem than my cat. But anyway, so what you're left with generally, when you have a tiny little knife, when you have a small knife, you also have a small handle, right? I have a little finger groove there that acts also as the as the whoop, right? So, and you can actually, if it gets loose, you just tap the thing once and it gets a little tighter. I even have, this one got rusted because I took it in the sauna with me, but this is like a micro super mini version, and they're all pretty identical. This is another one. This one's a bit stiffer. This is when I had the grinds a little low. But anyway, so you see how small the handle is? That's generally the case with these small blades. And I realized, like, the blade length is not that big a deal. The handle length is really what's important if you want to get all that grip. I mean, so I made it even longer. I don't have like super large hands. I have like 9.5 size. So they're larger than most. What makes, so I have it go slightly over this side, you know, if you want to skull crush or something, but, or, you know, if you want to get a little extra reach in some kind of punch grip like this, or you see, but you got the full grip. You see, it comes all the way through. And the beauty of that is you can really carve if you need to. You know, having that extra length really allows you to do to get the most out of that blade length. And you're not really like, how do you say, you're not really like, you're not taking anything away from doing that, you know? There's a lot of folding knives. I don't have it here, I don't think. But like basic, you know, Gerber or Booker folding knives that have, you know, a blade that's maybe an inch longer. And the handle is also like tiny, you know? And so that would be an interesting idea, having like a folding knife like this with a tiny blade. So it just folds in there. Don't need the full length, you know? Be an interesting thing to see. But anyway, this is just, you know, a very simple basic knife. And here's the carbon black. They're super cool. And they're available on my website. I don't know if I actually have yet. I'm going to put the listing anyway just now on my website, hotmetalknives.com. And just basic little EDC knife. When you have a neck knife, really, like, for example, like this. This is light enough, I don't really feel it, but it's very long, and then this sticks out too. And it's almost like, it's very important that it's as lightweight as you can, because if you have like a large full steel, you know, medium-sized blade, it can feel a little bit, not like heavy, but it swings around like a pendulum, you know? So something super light like this is just ideal around the neck. And the thing is, like, for example, with me, if I go out somewhere and I don't want to bring any knives with me, you know, I'll take this, but it can be under the shirt, but it doesn't necessarily have to be under the shirt. I can just tie this to my pants and then just put, you know, I throw this in my pocket or put this tucked into my pants with this tied around the belt loop or something. You know, you can always take this off like that, you know, and just, so one of the customers that actually order these, like women in South America that are looking for like self-defense options or little purse knives and stuff like that. So these are really like great all-arounder blades. I've sold these to police officers, firemen, just a whole slew. There's Scalpels in Hawaii now. We've gone all the way around the world with these. Australia, there's a few. Africa, all over Europe. So I've sold a hell of a lot of these all over the place, and that's great. They're very affordable for what they are. I'd like to make them cheaper, but since they cost like $10 each to make, there's really only so low that I can go with. And you know, it takes quite a long time to do one of these handles. It's like a 1-hour job, basically. It's a little bit less, but it's not quick. It's not a quick knife to make. It's actually quite a difficult knife to make, and even to grind. There's a lot of these actually go into are like mistakes. For example, here on this one, I overgrounded it like crazy. So what am I going to do with it? So there's actually a few of these, you know, 10, 15 of these have failed, maybe a bit more, and that's like $60, $100 just waste material. You know, what am I going to do with it? So one trick, of course, is just to clean them up as best as I can, and as full steel, just sell them as, like, you know, super cheap somewhere at a, you know, at a market or a fair or something like that. You know, there isn't really just, some basic thing like that, like a full steel kit, something you can just leave in the kitchen hanging something without a sheath or whatever. But yeah, this one's been used quite a lot, as you can see. I take it with me in the sauna too. Like I have this is around my neck 100% of the time. I've even fallen asleep with it around my neck, and I've woken up in the morning and it hasn't pulled out. So I don't recommend that you fall asleep or go to sleep with these around your neck, because they're very, very sharp, and you never know, if something, you don't really want this stuck between you and the bed. But as easy as it gets, as simple as it gets. And I'm having a hard time actually coming up with improvements on these. Some people have asked for longer blades, some people have asked for choils and all sorts of stuff like that. After I'm done with this batch, selling all of these off, there's like 300, and I've already made like 100 something out of that batch. After that, then of course, I'll move, with the CAD programs, I'll look into it and see, okay, what can I do to change things around, make things more consistent, look at what people have said in terms of reviews. The Etsy reviews are great. 5 stars, every one of them, except one guy gave me a 3-star, and I was like, what the heck, bro? Like, that's not, come on, man, I'm trying to make a living here. But he got one of the very first ones that I made, and it was just, it was just the grind was a little bit uneven somewhere, and so I sent him a free one, but then he hasn't responded. He hasn't, even though I sent him a free parcel. So I try my best, of course. I work so hard, and then when somebody gives me like, shit for it, it gets on my nerves. But it happens to everybody. It's like you look at any reviews anywhere, and it's it's very, very difficult for anybody to stay consistent at 5-star reviews with every single one, and especially when these are not made by machines. So yeah. Carbon black. Back in the shelf. Back on the shelf. We got the carbon black. And I'm off now to grind more of these to fill up the inventory. And I hope you guys all have a lovely day. Bing!